Hi, welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. I am going to be attempting to do Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches. And day one sketch for March 1st was created by Jessie Brodmerkle. I'm really hoping that I pronounce her name correctly. I really like this sketch. It's very eye-pleasing. But as you know me, I'm always going to kind of change things up, mostly to suit the photos and or embellishments papers that I have in my stash. And you know, sometimes a sketch is just a suggestion or not, maybe, but this is a beautiful sketch and I'm going to follow it pretty close to exact. I am going to change up the photos just a little bit. I do not have 4 photos available, but I am going to scrap 2 photos of my son and his beautiful wife. So let's get started. I chose, so I can start clearing off my space, some very old Webster's Pages papers. I also pulled some Pink Fresh Studios Keeping It Real phrases. They're the puffy ones. And then this is Vicki Boutin's, I believe that's either Fernwood or Print Shop. I think it's Print Shop. Some really old Maya Road vintage trinkets. I'm going to kind of use those like enamel dots. These are the photos of my son and his wife. Those photos were taken in January of 2016. So I am going to go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is probably going to cause you all to just gasp. Yes, I'm really going to do this. I want to use this outside border on my layout. I don't want to use the whole sheet, just the outside border on either side. So that means I'm going to cut this paper down like this, because as you know, they have a border here and then a border here that is similar. They also have a border here. So I am just going to cut down this border just on the other side of the polka dots, and that will remove the polka dots from that paper. No worries, I will absolutely use the rest of this paper for something else. It's a beautiful grid paper and it will get used. But for this, I'm just wanting those 2 outside borders. There's that. Just set that aside. And my next piece that I was going to use is the stripe. This is a collection by Adrian. Is that Lumen? I'm not positive. Can't read it. It's called Plumseed. Anyway, Webster's Pages. Do they even have paper anymore? I'm not sure. But besides the point, I still have quite a bit of theirs. They had a warehouse type sale when we still lived in New York State, and I bought way too much from that warehouse sale, to be honest. I think I'm just going to cut this at 5 inches, which virtually cuts it in half-ish. This has a really pretty print on the back too. I chose this piece for matting my photos. And I am not going to mat them together. So those photos are 3x4. I'm going to cut 3, just under a quarter, just under 4 1/4 mats for these. I'm choosing the darker color because I'm using a lot of light colors otherwise. Isn't that pretty? The back side, I almost hate to cut that for this, but I had 2 pages, so that's okay. And then I think I was going to do something with this, but then changed my mind, obviously. And I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna start building the background of my layout. So I'm gonna speed you up and I'll be right back. So I might have pre-ordered these Tim Holtz Distress watercolor pencils back when they first came out, and I might have not used them yet. Anyway, so I thought I'd bring out this picked raspberry and kind of play with it a little bit. It was kind of, my idea was to give a place for that title to sit, since it goes vertically down the page. And then, you know, my lovely left-handedness, I discovered that I left a mark on that one side. I just kind of played with it a little bit. You know, it's just watercolor and I like messy, and I'm going to roll my paper towel roll over across the top of it, and then I'm going to just start putting some pattern paper on here. So I've already cut down some of my patterned paper, and I wanted to use that floral piece on that far edge and then use the striped piece next to it. Now you're going to see that I discover that my striped piece is not 12 by 12, and I'll explain that in a little bit towards the latter part of the video. But in the meantime, I'm just kind of playing and trying to get these strips on top of my layout. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distress my photo mats. I cut out the photo mats for my 2 photos from the dark. It's not really black with a light color dot. It's more of a dark brown color with a cream dot on it. But anyway, I'm going to distress that piece, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere my photos to their photo mats. Just a reminder that the original sketch had 4 looked like 2 by 2 photos on the layout, and I have only chosen 2 3 by 4 photos for my layout. I didn't have 4 photos that weren't different enough for this set of photos that I took of my son and his wife. They're all very similar, and I just chose 2 of the best ones for this layout. Now that I have matted my photos, I'm going to go ahead and add this second floral border to the left-hand side of my layout. This is where I noticed that my blue and white or blue and cream stripe is not fully 12 by 12. And I'm kind of annoyed at this point, but I'm like, okay, I'll figure this out in a little bit off camera. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive behind this photo just to get them to stick, and then I'm going to start adding the flowers and other embellishments to my layout. Now I was having a little bit of trouble with my ATG tape sticking because that watercolor is still a little bit damp, and so I'm just going to come in with my Nouveau Deluxe glue and use that to get the photos onto my background page. So now I'm going to look at my sketch again and see what I'm doing. I'm pointing out that the title's going down, vertically down on the bottom, and then there's a corner with flowers. I have chosen some brown or craft colored flowers and some blue. There is some purple in those clusters of flowers. Those flowers are stuck together by the manufacturer. They do not come apart. I tried, so I will probably cover up the purple because it's the wrong shade for these papers. To build my floral cluster, I am going to start with the large craft colored rose, and then bring in some of the larger florals first. I will move things around, trying to get them placed right where I would like them to be placed. And then once I get them to where I'm going, I'm going to start building some of the other pieces of this layout. So I think I've got my floral cluster right the way I would like it for right now. I will come in and add a little bit of other things to it in a little bit. I'm going to try to decide on a title. I really want to use this these titles from Pink Fresh Studios, Keeping It Real, and I decided to pull the one that says right now. The G on the word right is kind of funky, and you're going to watch me trim it down and make it work for my layout because it's just too long. The now doesn't fit where I would like it to fit, and I'm just going to cut it and recreate the G from the cut pieces. So I know some of you might be cringing that I am doing that, but you know, I try to make my scrapbooking supplies work for me. I figure, you know what, I own them, I can make them work how I need them to work, and that is kind of what I do here. I think the G looks pretty close to the way it did originally after I rebuilt it, and I'm happy with it, and I don't think it's real noticeable once I get it all adhered down. I do use some Nouveau Deluxe glue off camera to make sure that that title is going to stay, especially those pieces that I cut apart. Now you've seen me add those little tiny metal roses. Those roses have been in my stash for probably 10 years. I got them in a Maya Road warehouse box probably 10 years ago, and I've just been packing them around from duty assignment to duty assignment. They're kind of bulky, they're a pretty specific color, and I find that I don't scrapbook a lot with that color, and they've been out on my desk for a little while because I used 3 of them in a previous layout on a previous video, and I left them out, and when I pulled this collection, I'm like, those roses go with this collection very well, and so they'll make good little detail pieces. I do use glue dots to adhere them to the page. They do kind of smash a little bit inside the page protector in my album, so they will flatten a little bit. So I really love to use labels for journaling, and I cut 3 here. I'm going to put 2 above the right hand photo and 1 below it. The 2 above will actually hold my journaling. The 1 below will put the date and the place where these photos were taken. I'm the one who took these photos, so I have the originals in my computer files. Alright, I discovered what my problem was with the paper. I went to cut another strip of this from a different pattern paper, thinking that maybe I had used the original piece at one point and that it was just not a full 12 by 12 sheet. Well, it turns out that this collection is 11 7/8 by 12 inches right out of the collection packet. So to fix that, I trimmed off 1/4 of an inch from this side and 1/8 of an inch from the top and bottom, and I matted it on a matching cardstock. Turns out okay, and that fixed my issue. That is really, really frustrating for that to happen on camera. So I also covered up as much of the purple flowers that I had put on here with some blue. My goal was to use up these blue flowers because they've been sitting in my stash for a while, and I want to use up these Prima or Prima type flowers as much as possible this year. I added today to the middle of that flower. I added a piece of the chipboard from the Vicky Bouton pack. I went ahead and I journaled on my labels, and I glued down these metal roses. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some sprinkles in the Speckled Egg Distress Oxide, and this one from Lindy's Stamps called Glitz Spritz. I'm just going to add some sprinkles, and that is actually why my photo is covered up. That is the packaging from the flowers that you saw me use in the layout. So I'm going to speed it up again. I will go ahead and do close-ups at the end. I want to thank you for stopping by my channel today. You have a great 1st of March. Bye. So I'm going to go ahead and just put these sprinkles all over the place. But while I'm doing this, I'm looking at this layout and it just looks unbalanced to me. So although my sprinkles are going to still be wet, I'm going to bring that watercolor pencil back in, and I'm going to put some more of that picked raspberry color above my left photo and near my floral cluster, just to balance out that pink a little bit. I will also use it to add a little bit more sprinkles in the pink on top of all the other sprinkles that I've already put on there. I think that it balances it out just enough, and I'm happy with the layout and how it turned out. There is a collaborative playlist. I will list it in my description box below my video. Here are some close-ups of my completed layout. Thank you again for stopping by my channel today. I hope that you enjoyed my take on this sketch. Have a great March 1st. Bye.